Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast, a space for nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. What would it be like if you gave your body a leadership role in your business and chose greater happiness every day? These are the conditions that create a healthy biome and a thriving business. I'm your host, Heather Nichols, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. What are we up to this week around here in the biome? What are we doing in the biome this week? Well, I want to play with a conversation that has actually been a really huge gift to me in the creation of my business, and that is a conversation about chaos, order, and organization. And I'm kind of like, how am I going to fit this into one little podcast? So we'll see where we go with this. But many years ago, we in Access Consciousness, we started playing with this conversation about chaos. And before that time, there was just kind of like a general consensus, as there is in the world, that chaos is kind of a bad thing, for a lot of people. You a lot of times will hear people say, oh my gosh, there's just so much chaos. And it has this negative connotation to it. And once this conversation of chaos started happening and, we just started like exploring it, it was like, wow, there's some really cool stuff here, because if you look at how the universe works, and if you look at how the biome works, which to me, they're very connected. The biome works in a very similar way that the universe works, or any biome. I mean, every biome is going to function differently. And if you're new to the podcast, what is a biome? A biome is a major life area, is an area where there is a lot of life thriving, contributing to the other life, like where life begets life, and different, species beget different species, plants, animals, etc. And the whole biome is the health and the strength of it is nurtured by everything, by all other, like the whole is way greater than the sum of the parts. And so if you look at that, there is a real chaos that occurs in nature and in the universe, like how the universe creates itself. It's chaos, and so chaos is actually this highly creative energy. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be something that is, detrimental to an organization, to a biome, to your life, to your business. It doesn't have to be something that's detrimental. In fact, it can be something that is dynamically generative and creative. And so the energy of chaos is really such that, it feeds, like if there's enough chaos in the system, there's going to be change happening all the time. And one of my favorite quotes from Gary Douglas, who is the founder of Access Consciousness, is that the only thing a successful business requires is change. And I would say I have seen that again and again in my own business, and also in the businesses of the people that I work with, the entrepreneurs that I work with, is that, most people who are entrepreneurs are that they've chosen that path because having a regular job would be way too boring. It would be boring to the degree of decay and degeneration in their system, in their biome, in their personal biome. Like, I mean, a lot of times when we have a lot of boredom, when we're not stimulated, when we're not creating, our system, like our whole, like our bodies can be off, our businesses can be off, our money flows can be off, our family, like our personal relationships can be off, because you're not using all of you. You're not being all of you. You're not being stimulated by what you do, um, and the creative aspects of it, the creative endeavors that you're involved with, like there's not enough creativity. And most entrepreneurs, if not maybe all of them, are highly creative creatures. I just watched this video from Jordan Peterson about the, like the different, like he was basically saying that creativity was not an indication of success in educational settings. It's more like creative people don't tend to even stay in educational systems or settings because there's too much form and structure. There's not enough room for the chaos that creative people actually bring. And so it tends to be people that are kind of more apt to be really successful in an educational setting or in a more formal work organization, are people that have more of a sense of like commitment and like I can't remember the word that he used, but just more of a sense of like being able to really stick to something and resolve and commitment and follow through and all that. Whereas creative people are by nature more chaos, and entrepreneurs are definitely creatives through and through. And yet, there's so many different things. That one sentence could take us in a million different directions with the conversation here, which is part of the creativity. Part of my creativity is like, oh, we could go here, 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 here. So a lot of entrepreneurs have ADD, ADHD, which could be a great podcast for another time, because I work a lot with people that have ADD, ADHD, OCD, autistic tendencies. There's some really cool things to explore with that neurodivergence with business and creation. But for this purposes of this one, I'll try to rein in my own ADHD and stick with the topic of order, chaos, and organization. But chaos is a creative energy, and it's how the universe creates itself. It's how the biome creates itself, and it is it's a very, very dynamic energy to be allowing and also inviting and nurturing into the biome, into your entrepreneurial biome. And so how do we do that? And what does that look like? Well, this is where because total chaos, like if there's no order, there's no organization, that's like chaos can kind of turn into havoc. And havoc is where chaos becomes so disorganized that it's no longer chaos, it's havoc, and it becomes degenerative. It inhibits creation, it inhibits flow, it inhibits really getting anything done. And that's kind of a lot of people that I've worked with tend to kind of either ride the line between chaos and havoc or between order and chaos. And maybe I'd say it's a bit of a spectrum. And too much order is really going to kill what it is that you can create. Too much havoc is definitely going to kill what you can create. So we got to find that sweet spot, and the sweet spot is always going to be changing. And how do we find the sweet spot? Well, that's a day-to-day kind of curiosity and investigation, and it's where we start to really be in the daily conversations with our business and with the biome, checking in on things. And I'll give you some tools as we progress in this conversation to help with that. Because if you find this sweet spot where there's enough organization, which is a form of order, but it's not like total form and structure, but enough organization where the chaos can actually thrive inside of the organization, then you are in the sweet spot, and it will always move. The sweet spot will move. It will change. It will It will be different. It will, it's going to evolve depending on what's going on in that moment. Sometimes there's more chaos. Sometimes you want to instill chaos. Sometimes you want to actually bring more organization and more order to things. And so, you start to just kind of look at that and wonder, how does that work? How does that, what are some tools for that? But the thing I wanted to just kind of finish around this piece around havoc is that when you have no organization and there's just so much, like, if you've ever been in a company or in an organization, or maybe in your business now, where there's so many ideas that come out, and there's this like, almost, I've actually been kind of dealing with this lately in my own world, because I'm having so many ideas lately. I kind of don't even have time to write them down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, they just kind of like fly through my head and then they're gone. And I'm like, okay, I need to actually develop a system to start writing these down, or take, recording voice notes for myself, so that I can start to actually capture some of these things as they fly through my awareness. Now that simple thing right there would be adding a system that actually supports the capturing of ideas, so that I can come back to them, and, like, ideas for podcasts, ideas for videos, ideas for classes, ideas for different creations, so that I can come back and capture those. And actually, the ones that actually feel like, yes, this is actually something to be created and put into the world, it's there. I can, kind of rest into the system and trust that I'm capturing what I need to capture, so that I can later go back and extrapolate and expand on whatever that is. So one of the ways that we provide a level of organization within the entrepreneurial biome and within an entrepreneurial company, business, where you create enough organization to allow for the chaos to really thrive, and all of the creative people that you work with, or if it's just you, if you're a solopreneur, then for your creative juices to flow in a way that is really generative, and that is going to actually turn into cash flow and different creations in the world and all of that, is to have systems that allow that are actually appropriate for an entrepreneurial organization, an entrepreneurial business. And so let's talk a little bit about the difference between systems and structures, because a structure in an organization, a structure is, if you think about when you go to a government organization, like a government office, DMV, let's just say, and they're like, take a number, wait in this line, go to this person, then wait in this line and go to this person. It's very ordered. It's very ordered. There's absolutely no chaos allowed, actually, in those organizations. Chaos is not valued. It's resisted. It's mitigated and managed. It's prevented even. And the way that chaos is prevented is by an extreme focus on order, which is really like so much form and structure to things, that there's no kind of like allowance for human, error, or different circumstances, things like that. And in any organization, in any business that people are interacting with, there's always going to be something that's not black or white. There's always going to be, people that are on the fringe, different circumstances that require, unique attention in some way. And we've all been in those situations where we have some sort of a unique circumstance, and you're interacting with a structure that is so ordered, like a government organization, that it's incredibly frustrating, because you don't fit into all of these different slots, and there's not even all of these slots. Usually it's like 3. And you're like, I'm number 5, actually. They're like, are you black or white? And you're like, I'm chartreuse, and so that's incredibly frustrating from the user end, from the customer end, the client end, because y you kind of, a lot of times you have to kind of go around in circles. I'm dealing with that right now with the city of Boulder. Like, there was this whole thing that happened with my yard and trees, and they came and took some trees out, but they're not in my yard. They're in the land strip adjacent to my house. So they're sort of like next to my property, and they damaged the irrigation lines. Well, they're my irrigation lines, but it's not my property. And so my landscaper ended up fixing the irrigation lines, and I got this $2,000 bill for it. But it's not really mine to pay. But so there's nowhere for me to go in the system right now, in the structure of things, to actually get somebody who can handle this and pay for it. And so it's been incredibly frustrating, because the situation is, it's not black or white. It's not cut and dry. It's not, and usually, especially when you are somebody who doesn't function from the rules and the regulations of the world, from the form and structure of reality, from structure, you when you're somebody who doesn't function from that, it's like none of your circumstances in your life are even going to match a lot of those structures, because you're a different creature altogether. You're an entrepreneur, you're a creative, you're somebody who's different. And so we all, people who like entrepreneurs, creatives, etc., they know the kind of pain of being in the world in that way, where it's like, I don't fit anywhere. I don't know how to interact with these structures because they don't make sense to me. And they don't apply to me. So now what do I do? So that's kind of the extreme order, form, structure that makes something actually not that enjoyable to interact with, as far as from the user end, interacting with that business. It's not, nobody wants to go to the DMV. Nobody likes to go to the DMV, you know, but we all have to do it, and those moments where you encounter those people who are willing to kind of go around things. Like, I went to the DMV here a few weeks ago to get my son's license plates for his new car. And there was this wonderful woman who was like out at this desk, makeshift desk outside the office. And she's like, call this number and you can get the license plates. And that way you don't have to come back and make an appointment and da, da, da. So she gave me this workaround. I called the number. I actually talked to somebody in the back office right there. She says, I'll bring the license plate out right now. She brought it out and I was off on my way. Otherwise, I would have had to, if I had interacted with the structure, I would have had to go home, make an appointment, go back, hope that the plates didn't expire, this whole thing. So when we encounter people that are willing to, work with us and work around the structure, it makes things so much easier. What if you could design your business to actually be to have the beauty of the chaos and the organization that makes it really user friendly, on the user end, on the end of your clients, but also for the people within your organization, including you. And so that your creative process could actually thrive and expand and grow and just be so much more dynamic, when you actually, because you are actually, you're sort of like thinking ahead, you're also creating your business and the biome in such a different way. And so this is where systems come in, and systems are very different than structures. So businesses that have structures are, for example, like the government organization. There's no adjusting, there's no going around. It's black, it's white, or nothing. Businesses that have systems are adaptable. Systems allow for chaos. They facilitate the generative chaos that allows a business to grow in very unique ways, in ways that are just so, um, so different, and like really allows for creativity to flourish in the organization. And so when you have systems, they're adaptable, they're flexible, they're changeable, and they also capture what needs to be captured to create a sense of relaxation for the people running the systems on the inside of the organization, and also people interacting with the systems. But there's a level of creativity there, and an acknowledgement that, there are different circumstances all the time, and hopefully from the client end of things, when they interact with those systems, they interact with your business, there's a sense of being acknowledged as a person, as a human being. Like, it's like, I'm not a robot. I actually am a person. I have, particular circumstances that may not fit into your definitions. And so systems in a company, it's a completely different way of creating your organization, um, because uh, it allows for, because, well, you can either have structures or you can have systems. They don't really, I mean, I guess you could have both, but it's like a completely different point of view. To create a structure, you're trying to control, and that's a lot of order. To create a system, you're trying to provide a level of organization that allows for chaos to be generative, and to even be an energy that moves the business forward, expands the health of the biome, the growth of the biome, the growth of the organization, and acknowledges the very, very different, that everybody who uses those systems and interacts with them is completely different. And there's a lot of creativity that can happen on the inside of an organization that functions from systems like this. And the systems can be beautifully created, they can be brilliantly created, they can be very well, laid out. And someone who has, there are people that actually really have a capacity to know what systems a business requires, and based on their ability and their capacity to perceive the future. So somebody who's really strong with the creation of systems actually will know, they have an ability, a really unique ability to see the future. Like, they can see the future of a system and how it will play out when people start to interact with it, and they'll know what needs to be put in place now to accommodate and anticipate the future possibilities of people interacting with that system that are going to be different and varied and unique. It's a really cool capacity that people have. And then you can start to create systems that are like, it's like this big beautiful net that like captures everything, and allows things to like not be, not fall through the cracks, not have no place to go, but actually be assimilated into the system in such a way that it grows, it changes, it evolves, and it becomes greater. And so one of the things to be asking for, if you're interested in creating more systems in your business, is to be asking for people actually that know how to do that, for people that have an awareness of the future, that have a capacity to perceive what systems, like to create systems, and but based on this knowledge of how people interact with them, so that they can, really can like be something that is contributory and evolutionary, rather than structured, rigid, and impossible, which is what structures are. And there's, so it reminds me of, I when I was in college, I got a degree in human environment relations. It was in the College of Human Ecology at Cornell University, and the College of Human Ecology was all about the study of the interaction between people and their environment. And so my particular major was actually in design and in interior architecture, and facility planning and design. But there was ways to, there was like human development in that college. There was ergonomics. There was all these different studies of the interaction between people and their environment, and creating things in the world that acknowledge that interaction and acknowledge that there is this beautiful conversation always going on between us and our environment, whether it's a physical environment or an energetic environment or a created environment, or a social environment. There's always an interaction going on that can make us greater. It can make you greater. It can make your coworkers or your employees greater, and your teammates greater. It can make your clients greater. And then I mean, vice versa, your clients, your teammates, your coworkers, your employees, whatever you want to call them, can also make your organization greater by how they interact with those systems and how you interact with each other. And, the culture that is set up in your organization, which is very much a story for another time. So many things that we could cover here. But so so when you're looking at it's like if you would like to have a business and an organization and a biome that acknowledges the people that use it, that acknowledges the people that interact with it, whether you have coworkers, employees, staff, teammates, whatever, or not, but somebody is interacting with your business. Whoever's interacting inside and outside, it's like, what if all of those people and all of those interactions can facilitate your business becoming greater, can be a feedback sort of mechanism and a feedback loop to provide you with greater awareness and information about how you can make the business greater. And the systems that you design are constantly evolving, not because you're just going to change them all the time, but there's a sense of like spaciousness and flexibility of those systems so that there's wiggle room, and there's also evolutionary room so that people can actually know that there's always a place to create something different, that allows for something greater to occur. And that really is one of the ways in which we create this level of organization in a business that allows for so much flexibility and so much creativity, that allows for chaos to occur in such a way that it is part of the evolution of the business, and actually really like increases the rapidity with which a business can evolve, and the ease and the elegance with which a business can evolve, because you're constantly going, hey, is this still working? How could we make this better? And I'm not suggesting that you every single day go, oh, we need to change our back end systems. It's not about that. It's really about just knowing that the flexibility is always there, knowing that things are always up in the air to be looked at and changed, and also knowing that you don't have to do that. Like, that's not a requirement, but it's a possibility. It's an availability, and it's a dynamic that you build into your business when you create your business from the space of systems, organization, and chaos, when you value chaos. Because what happens then is that you and your teammates have this room to breathe and to grow and to contribute new ideas and to evolve your company. And your clients also feel seen and heard and met and acknowledged as human beings, not as, I mean, I tried to, I was looking at I'm looking for an external keyboard for my computer, that is really ergonomic, and my body really does not like typing on my little laptop keyboard. And so I've been looking at like a different desk situation. I've tried a bunch of different things, but now I'm looking at external keyboard. And so I did this search, and I found this company that makes what seems to be a really cool looking ergonomic keyboard. It splits into so I can have my hands wider and all these different things, and a mouse as well. And I'm like, wow, this looks really interesting, but I have so many questions. And so I emailed them, and this is this is probably like a $700 investment. It's not a cheap, little $100 external keyboard. And so I messaged them, and I actually am going to be down the street from them next week. So I messaged them to say, hey, is there any way that I could come in and actually, look at your products and talk to somebody about what is going to be the best choice for me? And they were basically like, no, you can email us. And I literally was like, I don't even want to buy your product anymore. Like that, like you just might have lost a $700 sale because you're not willing to pick up the phone and talk to me and answer my questions. And how do you, I mean, these are very high-end products that they have. I mean, as far as keyboards go, I haven't really spent a lot of time like pricing external keyboards, but from what I've seen, they're, higher end. And I'm like, how do you like it just, and I think a lot of people actually, maybe unfortunately, so many people are just so used to not being able to talk to people these days. I really just, for me, I'm like, let's talk to each other more. Let's talk to each other more. So anyway, it was just an interesting thing because there was nothing, it was so structured, and there was nothing within that communication where it was like, you have a lot of questions that aren't very easy to go on email. Hey, let me give you a call. What's your phone number? There was none of that. And it's like, all right, well, I may search for somewhere that actually would be able to, and we'll see what I find. But it's like we all, I mean, especially with things like that, it's like how many of us are so not interested in talking to a computer, in talking to a computer, into to AI, or a person that functions like a computer. And that's structure and order and form and like a completely inflexible business. I'm talking entrepreneurial biome, organization, chaos, allowing for movability, flexibility, adaptability, relatability, like being able to actually interact with your clients, each other, your systems, and the organization of your business that is, even in the age, especially I would say in the age of AI and all these things, it's like that will be, that in and of itself will be something that draws not only clients to you, but also brilliant, brilliant creative people who would like to work in that kind of an environment because it acknowledges them as people, as unique, as creative. And you, as the entrepreneur, as the one with ideas, as the creative person, you also get to have so much room in that to play and to grow and to like toss out ideas all the time and try things on and see what works, and have like to know that to introduce something new into your organization, it's not going to involve a major overhaul of everything that you already do, because that's what absolutely stifles the creativity in a more form, structure, and order organization than a more of an entrepreneurial biome that has the order, I mean, the organization and the chaos. And there's also this way that there isn't the tipping into the havoc zone where things are just like so many ideas flying around and so much going on, but it can never be actualized. It can never be brought to fruition because there aren't enough systems to move things along. So what if you knew exactly how much organization was required at any given moment? And sometimes there's more and sometimes there's less. And there are moments in my business where I will ask a question that I absolutely love from the Joy of Business, which is, what chaos can I instill right now into my business? Is one of my favorite questions to ask. Like when I'm like, let's do something new. Let's do something different. Let's shake something up, which is something I love to do all the time. What chaos can I instill into the business today that would create something greater? And don't answer the question. When you ask a question like that, don't answer it. Um, let it be out there, let it come, let the awareness come to you. It may come to you then, it may come to you later, it may come to you next week, but just have it as a curiosity, kind of an ongoing curiosity in your world. What chaos can I instill that would actually create something greater here, that would move the business in a really fun new direction, or really expand what we're already doing, or create new revenue streams, and just see what shows up. And if you've got a business that is built around systems and the organization that facilitates and allows for the chaos, there's so much creativity that becomes available to you. So I hope this was a contribution. If I think I say this already at the end, but the whole like, subscribe, share, blah, 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 make the AI happy, make the AI, circulate these types of conversations into the world. But thank you so much for listening, for being here, for being you. And we will catch you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me for the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. For more resources, check out my website at heathernichols.com and my social media channels as well. Have a beautiful day, and remember that your business thrives when you do.